objective. So then resources, what are your researches related with your topic of research? What are the primary sources? What are the secondary sources? You have to make a systematic study and you have to give in the beginning of your introduction of your thesis also. Then the fourth is the method and data collection. Methods, that is indicating the research methods, which type of research method you are going to adapt to, whether it is analytical or qualitative method or quantitative method or empirical research sampling method. There are so many research methods. Which type of method you are going to adopt in your thesis? So you have to write down about the research methodology. Research methodology is a tool or technique through which you are going to process your research work for PhD thesis. And then comes what type of data analysis for the collecting of your research materials. You have to write down in the beginning of your research also. And after the aims and objectives, you have to write down the literature review also. Now, literature review has become one of the chapters of the thesis also, where you are reviewing some of the at least 10 to 15 books related with your research work, as well as journals also. You are making a review critically, not in that what is suitable to your research topic. You have to make an analysis of that, and then you have to write a review of the books and journals in the literature review. Now it has become an art that how you are reviewing the research papers or the books in the cases in the section of the literature review. Because there are some guidelines we'll discuss later on that how the review of the books and the journals can be written down. It is not in the like newspapers that where the books review are written down. It is completely different. Whatever you are reviewing, it is on the basis of your book, whatever it has been written. So it is not a review just like a newspaper, but it is another research review. If you go through the reputed journals, you will find at the end of the journals that how the books or the research papers are being reviewed, how the articles which have been published earlier in the journals, how they are reviewed by another scholars, and they are also put in the review sections also. Then you have to write down what is the scope, what are the research gaps for the future generations. So these are the main, you can say, the structure of your thesis in the beginning. You have to write down as a part of introduction of your thesis. Now let us discuss one by one. If you go through the what we have discussed with the four, that is the justification, aims and objectives, hypothesis, research. Let us discuss in a very brief manner so that an idea can be developed in your mind that how you have to process your thesis. What is the aim of the research? This is the aim of the research is to make advancement over the possessed knowledge. We have seen that aims and the objectives of the research is mainly to make a systematic investigations for the sake of advancement of the knowledge, whatever we are possessing at present on by the previous scholars who have written down on any concept or the theories related with Buddhism or any aspects of Buddhist studies. You are just making an advancement of the knowledge. It is another thing that you are getting a degree of doctorate of philosophy, PhD, in your subject. But here, You are making advancement of the knowledge. In another way, making systematic investigations on any topic, it develops expertness in your chosen field also. In any aspect of whether it is philosophy, history, or art or architecture, you are giving an expertness views related with the whatever the previous scholars they have written. This is the main aim of the research. You have to write down in the beginning any research paper if you are also writing. In the abstract, you have to mention that why you are writing this research paper. What is the main aim of the research? For what purpose you are going to discuss all these things? What is the scope of the research? There is a limitations for the submission of the thesis, but you have to give a scope of the research also for the future generations. You have to submit within 3 months, 3 years, or the 4 years. But the topic of your research must be very specific, very particular, or the topic which has been selected, the research questions must be created on that. So that should be very clear. It should be a familiar field also. There are so many fields related with the Buddhist studies, but there are some of the aspects which are not familiar. But a research scholar who has been registered for PhD course, he should select the topic related with a familiar topic, which the materials or the resources, whether they are primary sources or they are secondary sources, they can be easily available. So the topic should not be any chosen by the candidate where the materials are not available. So topic, before deciding the topic of the research, it should be taken care like that the topic must be familiar in our subject, whether it is in history, philosophy, or art or architecture, whatever, or the literature. Investigation must be in the relevant areas. Areas means here there are so many. We are discussing about the Buddhist studies, it is a discipline which consists 6 or 8 subjects like Pali language literature, Buddhist hybrid Sanskrit literature, Buddhist history in India and abroad, Buddhist philosophy. In Buddhist philosophy, you will see there are the 4 major schools of Buddhist philosophy, philosophical sects, then Tibetan language and literature, Chinese language and literature, Japanese language and literature, or Korean Buddhism or Korean language literature related with the Buddhist study. So there are say more than 8, 10 disciplines related with our Buddhist studies. So the topic must be selected within this area, not beyond of that. So the selected area must be specific, exact, and pinpointed. The topic or the area should not be very broad or very vague also, so that a research scholar becomes very much confused in later due course, and he does not become interested in the research later on also. So the topic must be selected as a specific, exactly. We'll discuss when we'll discuss about the selection of the topic, Visay Nirvachanam. We'll discuss it separately. The scope should stand parallel to the purpose also. We have seen that there are some purpose. We'll discuss that. What is the purpose of the research? for what purpose you are doing a systematic investigation or research in your area. So this scope or the object, we have already seen that the research questions or the main objectives of your research, they must reflect in your chapters. The chapter's topic must be correlated with the objectives of your research. Whatever the 4 or 5 research objectives of your thesis are given, they must reflect in the 4 or 5 chapters of your thesis also. So let us discuss one by one. We have seen that the hypothesis. Hypothesis is the present solution which arises in your mind after the research questions which has been created by yourself. If any thought or ideas which has come in your mind and the research questions has been created, we have seen that how the research questions have been created and how the sub questions, the present solutions which arises in your mind. This is called as hypothesis, which gives your the present solution. And on the basis of the hypothesis, you are going to search your materials, collecting your research data. Until unless you do not have your hypothesis, you cannot proceed for the literature review also. So this is the hypothesis. In Sanskrit, it is called as Anuman. Anuman is one of the kind of the Buddhist epistemology also. If you go through the Milind Panyo, there are 7 chapters of Milind Panyo. There is one chapter which is also discusses about the Anuman Panyo. There is a dialogue in between the King Milinda and Acharya Nagasen. So there are some questions which have been asked related by to our Buddhism, how there are 25 types of qualities of acharyas. So questions have been created, and there are some Anuman. So the Acharya Nagasen answers all those questions. So here, Anuman has become one of the important aspects of Buddhist epistemology. This is one of the branch of our discipline of Buddhist studies nowadays also, like Acharya Dinnag, Dhammkirti, they have developed the theory related with the Anuman. So that is another philosophical aspect. But here, Anuman or hypothesis is a present solution of the research problems which have been created. So a research problem under investigations need a provisional solution. So this provisional solution is called as hypothesis or Anuman. Hypothesis may be or set forth as an explanation for the occurrence of some specified group of phenomena. There are some of the events or the things which are happening in our day-to-day life. So this Anuman or this hypothesis is a set of our present solutions related with the how these things are happening in our day-to-day life or how the events are occurring. So we have seen the law of dependent origination that everything which comes into being dependent on some cause and conditions. So this provisional acceptance of hypothesis give a directions to the material collecting procedure. So what we have just seen that this provisional answer of your research questions, this gives you a direction for the collecting of your research materials, whether they are primary sources or the secondary sources. So this is the how you can proceed. What is the collections of there are some of the methods of the collecting of the research materials. So this can be created. This hypothesis gives you the present solution of your investigations, whatever you are doing. So now, in a very brief manner, we have already seen that there are 7 stages or steps of research. In a very brief manner, when you are going to write a research thesis for the PhD or dissertation, so this is the diagram or a structure of your thesis also. In some of the universities, it may vary in the numbering. First, there will be a review of the literature, review concepts, define and the theories, whatever the previous scholars they have written down on any concept or the theories or the ideas or the thought, you are reviewing it, and then whatever you there are the research gaps which have been not undertaken by previous scholars. On the basis of that, you are making the research questions, you are creating the research problem for your research thesis, and you are making sub questions for the research problem. Then you are reviewing the previous findings, what the scholars have been done. Then you are making the hypothesis, the present solution of the research work, what you are doing. Then, after formulating your research hypothesis, you are making a strategy for research, and you are making a design of your research. We'll discuss that how the research strategy can be developed and how the chapters can be also developed by a research scholar. You are making a research strategy. Under the research strategy, you are also searching for the methods of the research. How you are going to collect the research materials, you are making for that. And after collecting the research materials from different sources, primary sources or the secondary sources, you are analyzing all these materials. And then you are writing your chapters, then you are going to finally interpret on the basis of the hypothesis you are validating or testing your the objectives of your research, whether they are coming to true or not. Hypothesis can be changed time to time also on basis of the materials which you are collecting. So let us discuss in a very brief manner of what is the purpose of the research. For what purpose you are making research. You see, the main purpose of the research is to learn how other researchers have defined and processed key concepts. If you go through the books of Professor G.C. Pandey or Professor David J. Kalupahana, Professor Asank Ratne, those who have written, even J.P. Malal Sekar, if you go through the Encyclopedia of Buddhism, how the research papers have been written down. So the main purpose is to make investigation, to do research, is that how our previous scholars have interpreted or they have analyzed some of the concepts or the ideas or the thoughts related with the Buddhist studies. What are the key terms related with those thoughts and the ideas, how they have been defined, how they have been discussed by those previous scholars. Another purpose of the research is to know the data sources that other researchers have used. By going through our research books or the journals, you are trying to know that which type of primary sources and the secondary sources they have been used by our previous scholars. You can also make a review that the books which have been not consulted by our previous scholars in your review also. The another purpose of the research is to develop alternative research design. Suppose the previous scholars have made a research strategy for their books or the research papers in the journals. But how you can think to make in another research design? So it will be different than the previous one. So the main another purpose of the research is that how you are going to formulate another research strategy or design for your research topic on the same topic, what it has been discussed by our previous scholars in our different aspects of Buddhist studies. Then to discover how the proposed research is related to the works of others. This is also one of the purpose of our research, that you are making discovery that how this proposed research of your research work is related to the other works of the scholars. To identify new areas or the gaps in the body of the existing knowledge. We have already seen in the objectives of the research or aims of the research that how a research scholar is supposed to make a systematic investigation based upon the possessed knowledge of the thoughts or the ideas. So here you are making that what type of research gaps, what are the things which have been not discussed by our previous scholars. So you are just searching the gaps of the research which have been left by in the previous scholars. And whatever we are possessing knowledge related with any aspect of Buddhist studies, how you can make a new investigations related with that. This is the purpose. Further, it is that how a research scholar learns from the initiations of the others. A man learns from his or her experiences. After going through the a lot of literatures related with the books, the persons also learns, even a PhD research scholar who has been admitted for PhD, he has to submit his thesis within 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. There is a limitation. So previous scholars who have done researches on this very topic, they had also made some limitations to their research. So the main purpose of our research is to know that what were the limitations of the previous scholars related with their research works. Now we are coming to the research strategy. There are three aspects which are correlated with each other: research strategy, research design, and research procedure. These are the three things how they are a research scholar who has been registered for PhD study, PhD in Buddhist studies, how he is making an research strategy. What is research strategy? A general approach to research determined by the kind of questions at the core of research study. We have seen that how the research questions which are created. So research a scholar makes an strategy to make a research questions related with his or her research work. Then framing of the or a structure of the thesis, what will be the chapters and how a person can complete the 4 chapters or 6 chapters, excluding the introduction and the conclusion part of the thesis. So a plan for implementation, a research strategy, deciding, say, variables. There are some of the things which are changeable. in the numbers. So research designs can be done also. And then research procedure is an exact step-by-step discussion of a specific research study. We have seen that how there are 7 stages of the research procedure. From the step, there are preliminary steps to go through the literatures to make research questions like this. We have discussed that how that there are till the submission of the thesis, there are 7 stages generally which have been already discussed. Now we are coming the Karl Popper's methods of the falsifications, how he has discussed about. So we have discussed what is the hypothesis, that is the Anuman. Anuman, we have discussed that is the which gives the present solution of the research problems which has been created on the our research questions. So this Karl Popper method of falsifications. Falsifications is that what about the things which are available to us in the form of ideas or the theories or the laws, how you are making false of those ideas and how you are going to analyze in another way. False is not that you are making just that it is wrong. It is not true. But here you are making some observations based upon the research materials available in your Pali literature or Sanskrit literature or our Tibetan literature or Chinese literature, whatever that is, canonical, non-canonical commentary literatures. Based upon that, you are making interpretations or the analyzing the things in a different manner. You are not accepting the things whatever it is in the present form. You are just not saying that it is not true, but you are interpreting. You are making it in another way. So this is the falsifications, and this our Karl Poppers has given that how you have to give observations or how you can make a thing in a concluding part or in how you can give a new ideas or the thoughts which are already possessed by the as a form of knowledge. So this is the hypothesis theory formulations, observations. Here observations is that is the how you are using the research methods. So here falsifications is not making false by saying anything, abrupt substances, but here you are on the basis of the research method, whether it is a qualitative method, sampling method, quantitative method, empirical method, or whatever. So on the basis of that, you are observing and making in a different way the things. So here, on the basis of the research methods, we will discuss research methods separately. You are just proceeding for the data collections, primary sources and secondary sources. Under the primary sources, there are canonical, non-canonical, and commentarial literature and sub-commentarial literatures related to Pitak and whatever the Anupitak or Atkatha in another way. You are making data collections. And secondary sources, you are just searching that how the researchers, scholars have written on this very topic. Then hypothesis testing, the present solutions on the research questions which have been created. So how this can be tested here and how on the basis of the data or the research materials, you are just analyzing or you are making interpretations of the thoughts in a different manner. Lastly, what are the objectives of your research? Whether they are tested or validated, whether they are coming to true or not. You have to here make a validity of that, that whatever the 4 5 objectives of your research which were taken out in the beginning of your research, whether they are coming true or not. So it's all these things except till better one is found. If the hypothesis does not come true, you have to make it in another by research methods. So research methods cannot be accepted for the sake of your result. That you are thinking that this research method will be very suitable for making my hypothesis, the solution of the research problem, that it is not ethical. It comes under the purview of the pluralism or something other things. You have to go through the procedure of the research methods, and then you have to validate all these things. So this is the in a Karl Popper's methods of falsifications, that how you are observing some of the ideas or the thoughts, and you are not accepting all those things, but you are interpreting in another way, you are analyzing in another way. This is the chart. Now we are coming on this philosophical and epistemological aspect of our research process of the things, how the things which are going in a way. So see, there are some of the things, ontology, epistemology, methodology, methods, and solution. These are the also related with our Buddhist studies. So if you go through the philosophical aspects, then you will see that the ontology is related with what is about to out there to know. Ontology to know about the things, of how the things are happening in our day-to-day life, how the events are taking place. So this ontology, epistemology is a branch of the philosophy. It is a very in the field of philosophy, Buddhist philosophy. It was started by our Dirnag and Dharmakirti, but the seeds of these things are also available in the teachings of the Buddha, available in Canon, Tipitaka. So this epistemology, if you go through the Tathavattu, Milinda Pahyu, you will find that how the logic and epistemology has been discussed in these two earlier books of our Pali Tipitaka or Anupitaka Sahitya. So this epistemology, that how and how can, what and how can we know about it? So epistemology is a science through which we are able to know that how and what the things are happening and we are trying to know about it, how the things are perceived by our senses. So this theory of perception which was discussed by our Acharya Dinnag. It is not that in our canonical literature we do not find the theory of perception in the Abhidhamma or in Anguttara Nikaya, Sanjukta Nikaya. Buddha also talks about the how the a person perceives or he senses through the six our senses, how the objects related with the roop, sad, gandha, rasa, potabba, and dhamma ayatana. These things are perceived by our senses. If you go through the Anguttara Nikaya, you will find that how Buddha says that chakhu rupam pasati achit katha, that I sees the material quality, that is the rope, but this chakhu does not have achit katha, that it does not have consciousness. Chakhu viyanena, whenever the objects which are in contact with our senses, there is a perceiving of the things, and it is being done by our beyond consciousness. Chakhu biyanena rupam passati. Here, Roop does not see because Roop Chakhu does not have any consciousness, and until unless there is no consciousness in the our senses, we cannot perceive our things. So these theories were later developed by Acharya Dinnag. In Abhidharma course also, we are having the theory of perception. Later on, Acharya Dinnag and Dharmakirti, they have developed the theories of the Dinnag. They were criticized by and they were interpreted by Acharya Dharmakirti in a different manner. So this theory of epistemology that developed. Then there is a methodology. Methodology is a tool or technique through which we are able to know about the systematic knowledge or systematic investigations for the sake of advancement of the knowledge. So how we can go about it acquiring that knowledge? So there are research methods. Under the research methodology is a tool or technique. There are some methods related with the qualitative method, or quantitative method, the sampling method, questionnaire method, library method. There are methods which have been given through which we are able to know about the things. Then methods you have to be very which precise procedure to use. There are so many methods, but here you have the limitations. You have to adapt to one or two research methods only for your research work, not more than that. So you have to be very specific or be precise in selecting the research methods. If you are collecting more than one or two research methods, then it will be creating problem in your research. The findings will be different, as well as it will be time taxing also. Then it comes the sources. Sources or solution related to that, how the procedure can be taken by the research methods and how we are going to this. So we have seen that at the time of the registration of the PhD, till the submission of the research, there is a continuous study, sustained in whatever the literature review, the new findings you are coming till the submission of your thesis. If a new arrival of the books has come, you have to go through it, you have to make it in bibliography, and you have to observe it, and you have to give in your thesis also. So these are the sustained, all things are correlated with all these things. Now we are coming to one by one. So see, here ontology or epistemology, we are discussing some of the points related with this ontology, that what is the things out there to know and how and what can we know about it. So let us discuss in a very brief manner. So here see ontological classes. Ontological classes means what are the divisions of the research related with the ontology, how the things we are able to know about it. So these have been discussed. There are three types of ontology, that is the shallow, conceptual, and cautious. Shallow, that what we can observe is what exists and is all that exists. Challenge is to observe and describe any natural or social phenomenon. So this ontology, the first which has been divided under this ontology discipline, that what we can observe is what exists, what about the things which are available to us, and challenge is to observe and describe any natural or social phenomena. How you are describing how the man, nature, and environment, these things are correlated and how the things are happening in our day-to-day life. Now conceptual, that how the reality exists independently of human mind. These are all ontological. It can be known only by the human capacity of thought and reason. Here, reason and logic, both these things, even Buddhism also says that do not accept the things, whatever it comes from the tradition, hearsay from the teachers, or by any, whatever the, you have to make investigations that whether they are available in our canonical, non-canonical literature, you accept it, otherwise you do not accept it. In Mahaparinibbana Sutta, Buddha also says that you do not accept all these things. Kalam Sutta also discusses about all these things related with the expression of ideas or the thoughts. So there also it is said that do not accept the things, whatever it comes to you. So the next is the causes. There is an independent reality, but beyond human capacity to perceive it accurately, act of observing is an interpreting process. So these are the three subdivisions of the ontological aspect of the research. So again, there are depth, idealist, and subtle. So these are also some of the parts of our ontological study of the research, like a depth. Reality consists of at three levels: the empirical, the actual, and the real. There are three things. So phenomena, the how the things or states are occurring, can be explained with reference to underlying structure and mechanism on some of the things which are based upon the statistical data or through the research methods or methodology, we can explain the things. Then idealist, here reality of the thing is what created by human beings. Social reality consists of the shared interpretations produced by the active. So this is called as idealist, where the aspect of knowing the things, the reality is what created by human beings. The social reality consists of the shared interpretations produced by the actions. Then the next is the subtle, that is the sukshma. An external social reality exists, knowledge defined as beliefs whose validity is known with certainty is not true. So these are some of the, now there are some aspects related with the epistemological. We have seen that epistemology is a science through which the things, how the logic and the reasoning of the things are analyzed or interpreted. So there are some of the aspects related with this. So empiricism, that it is the knowledge which is being produced by use of human senses and experimental methods. That is the shallow ontology. We have seen in the last slides that is the shallow ontology. This is the what we can observe is what exists and is all that exists. Challenge is to observe and describe any natural or social phenomena. So this is the here empiricism that we have to make a study of that. Rationalism, that it is a direct examination of the structure of thought is the only way logic and mathematics are used. So here there is a conceptual ontology. Here, if you see that the conceptual ontology, that is the reality exists independently of human mind. It can be known only by the human capacity of thought and reason. So this thing can be applied here our in rationalism. And then falsifications. falsifications, we have seen that how the theory is to be created and tested. If refuted, it is to be revised, and if it is withstands, it is to be accepted temporarily. That is the cautious ontology. Here, cautious ontology is there is an independent reality, but beyond human capacity to perceive it accurately. Act of observing is an interpreting process. So, how the things are related with this? Then the next is related with the epistemology, new realism, that is the locate and explain structures or mechanism that produced the patterns of relationship. Here we will see that is the depth ontology. Here, depth ontology is reality consists of at three levels. That is the empirical, actual, and the real. So here you will see that how constructivism, that how social reality is the structure of ideas constructed by individual or groups. That is the idealist ontology. So we have seen that idealist ontology is here. Reality is what created by human beings. Social reality consists of the shared interpretations produced by the actions. So lastly, that is the conventionalism, that theories are created as tools and accepted if they produce desired results. Reality is consequence of the theory that is used. So in a very brief manner, if you go through that, how for the sake of advancement of the knowledge, how we are moving towards the research, how you are a research scholar is mm, mm, proceeding for the systematic advancement of his knowledge, whatever we are possessing at present. So see, there are some of the imprecision, rationalism, falsifications, neoliberalism, constructivism, and conventionalism. How the knowledge is being achieved by our research, that is the absolute knowledge. It is related with the empiricism, rationalism, absolute knowledge, falsification, tentative knowledge. It is not the absolute. Neo-realism, that is the tentative knowledge, and then constructivism, relative knowledge, and conventionalism, that is the utility, is important, not the truth. So let us stop here because the time is already gone. So let us stop here.